Welcome to week 2 of our Advent series. Last week we talked about Mary and Joseph and the hope and the promise that they rested in. And this week we're going to talk about preparation and faithfulness. So we chose the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth, who were known as righteous followers of God. And they faithfully waited for their son, John the Baptist, who then prepared the way for Jesus, who then reconciled us to God. Right?
Absolutely.
But before we jump into their story, we wanted to first define what is faithfulness. And I think in the context of marriage, we often think of it as the opposite of infidelity, right? But it's so much more. And so we found this definition that defines it as keeping true to a standard or to your original. And that struck us so much with how true that is for our relationship with God. That God, we are made in His image, and so He is our original, and then Jesus' love for the church is our model for how we love our spouses, right? So that's our original.
Absolutely.
And so as we are faithfully following God and we're faithfully pursuing our original, what does that mean for us this Christmas season?
So as we think about that, we find ourselves in Zechariah's story. And so here he is, this priest of God, who finds himself in the temple burning incense and praying, and suddenly he has this vision, and of course, fear is one of those responses that comes up, did for Mary and Joseph too, but we see in Zechariah more of a response of doubt and skepticism, and we have to wonder what's going on with him. But the reality is, even in his moment of unfaithfulness, God is still faithful.
Right.
And He is faithful not only in still giving him a child in his old age, but He's also faithful in silencing Zechariah for 9 months.
What a protection.
Sometimes we see that as this really harsh punishment, like, oh, you're gonna doubt? Okay, I'm gonna shut your mouth for 9 months, And it's really easy to see it that way. I think I always have before.
Right.
But if we can see the bigger picture, we can understand that this is God's grace to him.
Absolutely.
This is Him not allowing any more of those unbelieving thoughts or words to come out of His mouth, and for Him to just take time to reflect on the glory of God for 9 months.
Sometimes I wish I had that moment.
Right.
But really, God took that moment of Zechariah's weakness and turned it into His strength, right? I mean, Paul writes about that in 2 Corinthians, that our weaknesses are God's strength. That's how His glory shines, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of Zechariah's story, we see how Zechariah was faithful in naming his son John, not naming him Zechariah after himself, like was the tradition. He named him John, like he was told to do. And then he was given back his speech. And the people who were there, who were present at his son's birth, were in awe. And that awe caused them to go and tell everyone about what they saw, right? That is God's glory. That's the message of Christmas, right?
Absolutely. And so we realize God's timing is not our timing.
Right.
And so it's so important as we think about this time of preparation and faithfulness to faithfully serve as we faithfully wait.
Right.
Wait for whatever God has in store that may not end with us, that may not end with our children.
Right.
We never know who we are paving the way for. Zechariah was paving the way for John the Baptist, who paved the way for Jesus, who then was able to reconcile the people of Israel and us to Himself.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And so this week we challenge you to dig deep with your spouse about how you can faithfully wait, and then look to that next generation, look to each other.
Right.
How are you encouraging each other in light of that eternal perspective?
Yes, absolutely. That eternal focus is so important.
Well, have fun, and we'll see you next week.